Hello, I'm Randy Lenz with Anden, and today we're going to talk about installation of the dehumidifiers. So things to take into consideration when installing the dehumidifiers. They can be put on the floor, they could be set on carts, but typically hung up above the lights in a growing environment. You want to have them evenly spaced as much as possible throughout the room, and also have it so that the outlet is not blowing into the inlet of the other. You want to have access to the electrical panel, access to replacing the filter. You want to take into consideration where you're going to drain the unit, where the condensate line can go, where your electrical coming into the unit is. But most importantly, keep them evenly spaced so that one outlet is not blowing into the inlet of the other. When you open up the dehumidifier box, you'll see a line to cut along the bottom to pull the top of the box off of the unit, and then it will be attached to a wood platform, a wood base. You'll remove that wood base from the unit the first thing you do. Second thing is to install the filter rack. The filter rack, for shipping purposes, is shipped separately. The bolts are included. You will install that rack. So you use the nuts that are provided to install that to the side of the unit, slide the MERV 11 replaceable filter in, put the filter door on, and knurl the nut. The Anden A300 V1 and Anden A300 V3 come with the model A76 dehumidistat, drain tubing, a strain relief for the wires to come out of the top of the unit for electrical, drain fittings. You can use hard pipe or use the vinyl tubing provided with the barb fitting. Leveling feet for floor applications, and replaceable MERV 11 filter. The next thing you want to do is decide, are you going to put the unit on the floor or are you going to hang the unit? If you're putting the unit on the floor, you'll use the leveling feet that are provided. You'll install those. After you have the leveling feet on there, you still may need to elevate the unit slightly higher using like some cinder blocks or pieces of wood to get it a little bit higher for the drain connection coming out of the bottom of the unit. If you hang the unit can be hung using the eye bolts that are on there with chain. We have provided eye bolts, and they can be attached to cables, chains, anything that can support a working weight of 200 pounds. Another method is to use threaded rod, 1/4 inch threaded rod. When you're removing the eye bolts, you'll see there's a nut and a washer on the bottom side. You will take those off and save those. Thread the rod through the unit, all four corners, and reattach that washer and that nut. The next step would be to hook up the electrical power. Electrical comes in to the top of the unit using the strain relief and connects wires to L1, L2, and ground. The next step is connecting the control to the dehumidifier. Included with the dehumidifier is the Anden A76 dehumidistat. When installing the model A76 dehumidistat, it's important to bring that dehumidistat down to the proper height in the room where you want to sense humidity, preferably at plant level. When installing the dehumidistat, we're going to use the dehumidifier to power the dehumidistat, and we'll have the control signal from there. Inside of the dehumidifier in the electrical panel, you'll see a terminal block in the middle labeled DH and DH/R, and there's a terminal labeled C. We will use the C terminal and the terminal labeled DHR to power the dehumidistat. For connecting the model A76 dehumidistat, refer to the installation instructions on page 8, figure 15. Also, if you're using the optional 8840 control, you can refer to page 8, figure 16. For more information on the model 8840 installation, refer to module 13. The Anden models A200 V1, A300 V1, and A300 V3 require a drain trap. These units have a negative pressure cabinet, so a drain trap is required. You can simply make a drain trap out of the provided 10-foot tubing by simply making a loop and connecting that to the barb fitting. You can use a zip tie to hold that. Water will collect in there, creating that trap. It's a perfectly good method of doing that. If you prefer hard piping, you can make one out of PVC as well. Now that we have everything installed with the dehumidifier, we want to verify the operation. So we will turn power on to the dehumidifier, and we're going to set the dehumidification set point to 40%. When we set it to 40%, you'll see the word on start flashing, which means there's a call for dehumidification. And now you can go to the unit and verify that there is air moving through the unit, listen for it running, and feel the air coming out of the unit. Once we've verified operation, you'll go back to that control and set it to the desired dehumidification level, and the installation is complete. Maintenance for the industrial grow optimized dehumidifiers is very simple. Replacing the MERV 11 filter as needed, making sure that that filter doesn't get too plugged and we have good airflow and no restriction of air through the unit is very important. And also we want to make sure that the trap is never blocked, so we want to make sure the trap is kept clean. So periodic checking that once or twice a year should be sufficient.